Hi, my name is Megan, and this is Everything Lit. And today I am going to be updating my 5-star read. So I finally read all 5 books in my 5-star predictions video, so now I can update you. Were they 5 stars? And I've got a new round of books to say, hey, I think it's going to be 5 stars. Will I be wrong? Probably. Let's do a little recap. So these are the 5 books that I thought would be 5 stars. Let's talk about them. Midnight at the Blackbird Cafe ended up being a 3-star. Yikes. I thought it would be a 5-star because it has that magical realism, just sprinkling of magic vibes in a small town in the South. It's giving Sarah Addison Allen, right? But it was not. I think what kept this from being a 5-star was the drama, the amount of drama. It was greater than a Sarah Addison Allen story, I feel. And there was a lot more heartbreak in this. And I think it has to do with maybe the tone and the writing. But I also found the magical elements and the world building not as clear or concise. Also the romances, just that I didn't see it. I didn't see it for either of the girls. I do think the family dynamics explored in here are similar to Sarah Addison Allen, and I did enjoy those between the 2 girls who become friends, between this older man who becomes friends with one of the girls, this younger girl who they kind of take in as like a younger sister. Like, those were interesting and good, but overall it was just a 3 and it was kind of forgettable. Next, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. We have talked about Ms. Schwab a lot this year. We are on a journey, she and I. She doesn't know it, but I know it. And this was kind of the beginning of that journey. I read this and I gave it a 3.5, rounded up to 4 stars on Goodreads. And why I thought it would be a 5-star is because everyone was talking about how beautiful the writing is, and it has a fascinating premise of a girl who is invisible. Basically, anytime she walks out of the room, anyone around her immediately forgets she exists. There was supposedly this like romance with death and anti-heroes, and all of those things sounded so good. And yet, I did not care for it. I agree that the writing was beautiful. I think the world building was good, and I actually really enjoyed seeing how Addie LaRue makes her way through life and through the world. Basically, she can live forever, but everyone will forget her. And so this talks about art and our impact on the world. I think that the themes are really interesting. I think it was saying some interesting things, but I also didn't love the ending. The ending really got to me. I didn't love the romance in this, and I didn't love one of the secondary characters in here. He really put me off, and I can't explain why. I feel like I would need to reread it, and I don't have the energy for that right now. It was fine. It was good. It was on the higher end of her books that I've read, but no dice. Not a 5-star. Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Basherdoost, I did give 4 stars. We're getting closer. This is about a princess whose touch is poison. There were a lot of twists and turns. I really liked the plot and how it could not be predicted. It kind of zigged and zagged. I did like the characters. I liked our main character a lot. I thought the writing was lovely, but there was just something that kept it from being a 5-star. And, it had a sapphic romance? Like, yes, but it just wasn't my perfect 5-star. But I am keeping an eye on Melissa Basherdoost because I've loved both of her books. And then the 2 books that I was right about. One, Self-Made Boys by Anna Marie Mecklemore. This is a Great Gatsby remix where Nick and Gatsby are both trans boys, and it's still set in the 1920s, and it takes on the Great Gatsby story with Daisy, and it puts a little twist on it because Nick is Hispanic and Daisy is his cousin, so she is part Hispanic, but she's trying to pass as white and marry this rich man. But then there's Gatsby, and just he's in love with Daisy, supposedly, and I adored this. The writing was beautiful. The little twists on those gorgeous scenes from The Great Gatsby, the ending, the stakes, everything about this was phenomenal. And the themes, the messages it's saying about family, about history, about minorities in the 1920s, we get to see this underground speakeasy world of queer people in the 1920s, because queer people have always existed, but their stories don't often get told, or they were hidden. And this, I just loved it. I would absolutely read this again. And then the other 5-star, which was kind of a easy sink shot for me, is Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I had this on my shelf for like 4 years before I finally got to it, but oh my gosh, it was worth it. So this is about Miriam, the daughter of a moneylender, and her family is very poor because her father doesn't enforce their rules well, and then she kind of takes over and becomes really hated in her town. And there are these ice creatures called Starik who she kind of draws the attention of through her bragging. And this is so fairy tale-esque. I thought that I would like it because it's Naomi Novik, and I already know I love her. I love the way she spins fairy tales. I love, again, her plot cannot be predicted. I loved Uprooted by her, and this takes on kind of a wintry, female-led, female-centric, alternate history, historical fiction, fantasy vibe, and I did love it. It was fantastic. I think the characters were so multidimensional and so well drawn. I love her writing. The plot was fascinating. The fairy tale was fairy tailing, you know? It had that tone, it had that feeling. There was magic in this world building because we not only follow Miriam, but we follow 2 other girls trying to change their fate, escape their circumstances, and using their brains, and it was so good, and I cannot wait for Naomi Novik's next book. I don't know what it is, I don't know when it is, but I can't wait for it. Okay, so then I have 4 books that I think are going to be 5 stars when I read them in the future. I was so tempted to put Iron Flame on this list because it just came in and I'm so excited about it. However, I am like 40 pages in and I am a little worried it's not going to be a 5-star. So I'm not going to put it on this list. I think that My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell will be 5 stars. This is dark, I have heard, and this follows a woman who was in a relationship with her 42-year-old teacher when she was 15, and now 20 years later, she's a grown woman and he is on trial by a former student, and she has to grapple with this relationship that defined her life. Was it toxic? Was it grooming? Or was it love, like she thinks? And I think that this is going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be hard to read. I think the writing is going to be beautiful. I think the plot is going to be incredible. I can feel it. I feel like this might make my stomach hurt with anxiety, but it'll be worth it. I have a YA fantasy called What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. This, I don't know what it's about really. This is about a girl whose parents are explorers, globetrotters, and she's left behind. It's set in early 19th century Buenos Aires. I think her parents die and she goes on an adventure to find out what happened. It has archaeologist stuff, Egyptology stuff. And the reason I think I'm gonna love this is because it says The Mummy meets Death on the Nile in this lush, immersive historical fantasy filled with adventure, a rivals to lovers romance, and shocking twists and turns. So I love The Mummy. Death on the Nile was interesting. So it's got a mystery element. It's also fantasy. It deals with ancient Egypt and archaeology. and historical fiction. Just, it sounds incredible, and I hope it doesn't let me down. And then I've got 2 romances. One, The Boyfriend Candidate by Ashley Winstead. This is about a shy librarian who has a one-night stand with a very handsome man, but their hotel catches fire. There are photos of him carrying her out of the building, and he is a politician, and so they have to fake date for his image. It sounds fun, it sounds quirky, it sounds like the rom-com that I want, and Ashley Winstead is on a roll this year. I'm also on a journey with Ashley Winstead, okay? I read The Last Housewife and In My Dreams I Hold a Knife and Midnight is the Darkest Hour all this year. This is the year of Ashley Winstead, isn't it? And so if she writes romances as well as she writes her thrillers, I am going to love this. And finally, I thought I'd put a little Christmas romance on here, and that is A Season for Second Chances by Jenny Bayliss. This is about a middle-aged woman with grown kids. She buys a charming house by the sea and meets a surly man, and I think, you know, holiday magic. It's a romance. And look, there's a kitty cat on the cover. I read Jenny Bayliss's 12 Dates of Christmas, and I loved it. I didn't expect to love it. I didn't really know going into it what to expect, but it was so fun. It really delivered on the promise of its premise, right? Because the 12 Dates of Christmas was about this woman who signs up for this like matchmaking blind dating service over the Christmas season, and you get to go on 12 blind dates. They're all planned out, and you just like hop from partner to partner. On each date you get a different match basically, and it was so fun because you get all the Christmassy activities of those dates, and they were, I think we got to see several of the 12 dates, and then she had her personal stuff happening, and it was just really well balanced. It had the rom-com vibes, and her meeting these different men and maybe hitting it off with some, maybe being, you know, having bad experiences with others, and it was just so perfect for a Christmas romance. So I am excited to read this one, and I think it'll be just as sweet and Christmassy and perfect. And those are my 5-star predictions for the next round. Who knows how quickly I'll get to them. Because I thought initially those first 5 would take me 6 months, and then I'd, you know, do this in June, and it is November. So that didn't work out the way I thought. If you like this video, if you want to see if these do end up being 5 stars, you could subscribe to me, you could like this video, but really, you can do whatever you want. And I'll see you next time.